She's in now, rise.
Look at her!
There's been horrible deeds done to her.
Lucy, forgive me. It's a young woman.
Has he seen her? No one has.
She went missing.
John, it's definitely the work of a deranged mind.
Good afternoon, ladies. I'm Detective Inspector Isaac Bird from Whitehaven. The body, which was found on the north side this morning, has been identified.
What have they done with her?
They were stronger. In numbers, they were cunning, manipulative. But when Judgment Day comes, and I now know it will, their numbers won't help them, and I'll be waiting.
You were so certain that he was the killer. What's changed?
Lucy.
I want to hold her. It's her.
I'm going to ask you to think this through, Maggie. If you want to see justice served, you need to tell the truth.
Whatever happens, I love you.
He could quite easily walk free from that cell.
Whatever happens.
Welcome to the Sparkle Show. With us, we have Mark-Allan Pilgrim. Mark, I'm so happy to finally have you on. You just got done with the Ballad of Lucy Sands. I want to hear about it.
Just got done, absolutely. We've still got a little way to go. In actual fact, the cast and crew, as we speak, are up in Cumbria now doing some more work on it because the film has been delayed because of the lockdown, because of the pandemic. We would have been all done and dusted by Easter, but it all kicked off over here in, I believe it was March. So yeah, they're up there, and I've got some more to do down here in Cornwall. It'll be here in Bodmin, it'll be at the Boscawen Junction, the steam railway, and it'll also be, as far as I know, it'll be down at Flambards. So yeah, it's more or less done. It's more or less done. Whether or not we make the release date that we wanted, I don't know. It's, that's in the lap of the gods, but let's hope so.
What's the transition from theater to film? I mean, that's got to be a big transition. And you've been a stage performer forever. Tell us about your stage performance life.
Well, I trained for the stage. I trained the classical way. I know all the different what's the word? The different methods and the comedy and the what's the I can't think of the word. The different genres, the different types of theatre. Yeah. Greek tragedy, Shakespeare. That's what I'm trying to get. It's late here. It's midnight.
We so appreciate you being on the show.
The stage, when I go on stage, it seemed for a while that my strength was in comedy. I'm quite. I could do a lot of delivery with funny stories. One of the best ones I've done is Arsenic and Old Lace, which is a classic American play. Joseph Kettering wrote that, and other than that, it's been like the high dramas. It's been the Brecht and Shakespeare and Tennessee Williams and Agatha Christie and all them kind of things, and that it seems to be where I belong. I even done something one time at the London Palladium, and it was called Life on Earth, and it was all about this coach crash, and all these people had died in this coach, and what they had to do was they had to convince the angels that it wasn't their time yet, and they deserved another chance to live on. Live their life.
What a fun character! Wow.
Yeah, that was really good. More recently, I seem to have got into a lot of smaller venues, dinner theatre. And dinner theatre is quite big over in the States, but it's not such a big thing here. But the great thing about dinner theatre is it's intimate. You only get an audience of maybe 100 people, but they come in and they have a meal, and then they have a drink, glug, glug, glug. And then before you know it, you go out on stage and you tell them a story. And the great thing about it is it's so intimate. The people at the back of the room, you can see their eyes. And as an actor, you're not used to that somewhere like a Chichester Festival Theatre or the Liverpool Playhouse or the London Palladium, where you've got these huge, vast spaces. As an actor, you suddenly realise you've got to change your performance because you know full well they can see your eyes. And up until that point, I'd been told quite a few times by other actors, they'd say to me, this is on the stage or during rehearsals, they'd say to me, Mark, I believe everything you're saying because it's in your eyes. You act with your eyes. And I thought, okay, well, I've got to work with that. I've got to practice with that. So when I started doing these things that were dinner theatre, I started to actually work more with a mirror and work more with punctuating certain words with certain looks, certain glances. I could, my eyes can go from blazing impatience to dancing laughter. I've got quite expressive eyes. And I never really realised that until somebody told me. And one of the great things about doing that was I got the opportunity to play things that were, first and foremost, never been done before.
Like what?
So one of the things I've done was called The Amazon. It was all about it was all about the Mary Celeste. It was about not the ancestors, the descendants of the people that owned the Mary Celeste, because the Mary Celeste, when she was originally launched, was actually called the Amazon. And people don't know that, so that was like a twist at the end of this show. And I played a villain. And it's about the only time I've ever played a villain, which was great. And I was this waiter. And I'm alone on this boat, and I get found by the Royal Navy. And they're saying, why are you drunk on this boat, in charge of the boat, and there's nobody else here? And I said, well, I'm not drunk. I've never drunk in my life. And I convinced them. And I go through this whole story. Yeah, I go through this whole story about what actually happened. And I worked for this particular bloke. His name was Charles Briggs, Sir Charles Briggs, and he had he'd invited these special guests onto this boat. It was a shipping magnate and a boat builder and somebody else, and he convinced this Royal Navy officer that he didn't know what happened to these people. And then the Royal Navy officer says, well, this Charles Briggs, who is he? Where is he? I say, well, he's dead. He's been dead for 6 months. And the whole point of this thing was to get these guests on this boat so they could have his will read by the solicitor by a tele link, like a satellite link. And there's all these good things, and everything goes fine. The Royal Navy say, right, okay, well, secure everything. We're going to tow you back to Pol. So it's okay, fine. And they walk out, and there and then I have to change. And I go, oh, there's another question like I bloody had enough. And where I've said my name's Watkins, I call out for Watkins. And Watkins is another person who's a butler who crawls out of this cupboard And he says, what do you want, Sir Charles? And then the second act was what really happened. And I basically murdered these people. And it was a really great story. And there's one more.
So what I want to know, Mark, is about how did you get the role in the Ballad of Lucy Sands? How did you go from doing all this theater and then now all of a sudden you're doing film? How did that come about? That was just luck. It was being in the right place at the right time. When Steve Baldwin, who is the writer, he's researched the story, he's written the scripts, and he's basically gone on to make a film. He put a call out, of all places, he put a call out on Facebook saying, if there's anyone near Bodmin who can come to the steam railway station and play out, in a Victorian crowd scene, because I'm telling the story of Lucy Sands. Now, this station, it isn't the mainline station for Bodmin or for that matter for Cornwall. It's literally 5 minutes walk from my house. Wow.
I walk past it every other day with the dog, and I thought, well, that'll be easy enough. I got I could just play Wyatt Earp. It was literally when I just finished doing the thing of Wyatt Earp.
Were you guys friends on Facebook, or was it like a group thing? Were you guys?
I'd never heard of him. I'd never ever heard of him. And it was, he put the call out in it was a Devon and Cornwall group for
okay,
nice. That kind of thing. Just in 2 counties. So I introduced myself to him and I wrote to him and I said, yeah, I can do this. And I think one thing led to another and he ended up giving me this particular part. And this particular part, the guy I play is actually, he's not a villain. He's not the guy who did it, but he's actually more the guy who tried to get justice for Lucy, for this girl that was murdered. He's a bit like Wyatt in the sense he's a straight up lawman. He doesn't suffer fools, and he's loved by the flock but hated by the wolves. He don't stand for any nonsense. And it was like, I can do that.
That's a fun character. You get the best characters, Mark.
I do. I'm getting really lucky. I am getting lucky. I'm getting to do things.
And this is a big character for the movie. So for never doing film work, I mean, how did you go from being a huge integral role?
I mean, I have made some films. I've just never finished. That's the crunch with independent films. I mean, you know how many films for every film that you'll get in a theatre or in on a video. For every one that you see, there's 10 that either don't finish or don't get distributed.
I understand. It's the life of an artist. Same with like when you write or paint, or we're only seeing a small part of what you actually have created. I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with Lucy is it's an ensemble cast. We haven't got big stars in it. There's nobody in it that anybody actually knows. It's not like we've got I don't know, Hugh Grant or John Hannah or anyone like that. There's literally nobody in it in that sense. Pretty much everybody. I mean, there's a lot of youngsters. There's a lot of 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 8-year-olds. There's a lot of children, but there's also a lot of actors who are seasoned stage actors, and they have done maybe extra work on things like, if you've ever heard of something like Poldark or Doc Martin.
Oh, okay.
Doctor Who. I think we've even got somebody who's done Doctor Who. But it is an ensemble cast, and that's the interesting thing about it, because everybody. It seems to me, when I saw the original script, it seems to have evolved because Steve has cast certain people, and as he's got to know them, he's actually sort of written it or rewritten it because he knows, I think so and so will do it like this, so I'll change that. And he's quite a clever writer in that sense. He's really writing for the people on the stage, and not on the stage, on the film, but.
How do you feel about movies? Like, I mean, when you're doing it, are you like, I like this better than doing plays because of this? Do you like getting to do multiple takes? What's the perks and the negatives versus stage and versus movie? I think everybody.
Sparkle.
Come on.
you can't. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it is a completely different beast. It really is a different beast. I mean, nothing compares for me. When you're doing a film, the only audience you've got are the crew and those people who are in the scene with you, and the people that are extras, and that's it. Whereas when you do a play, when you do something on stage, you've got an audience that's actually, if basically they've paid to see you perform.
Right.
Whereas when you do a film, you're performing each take over and over and over again, and there's little nuances that, because you're doing it again and again and again, there are points where you suddenly think, I wish I'd done that the first time. That was you've rehearsed it at home, and you sort of get that point where all of a sudden it fits, and you'll never get that moment again. Whereas on stage, because you rehearse it so many times before you even go in front of an audience, you've already found that point. 9 times out of 10, when you make a film with what's happened with this and with, like I say, other films that I've done, what happens is you don't really get much time to rehearse it. Right. So you're almost rehearsing it in front of the camera. So there's little points where you're at home and you've got your pages, and you're staring at a wall and you're sort of thinking, well, so-and-so's this tall, so you put a mark on the wall so you know where your eyeline's got to be, or a mirror, or wherever you're going to do it. I'll borrow my son, I'll say to my son, no, can you stand there and just go, do this?
I'm sure you've driven your family crazy, Mark.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But
another thing, the life of the artist.
Yeah, when you do it at home, 9 times out of 10, you're on your own. So you're literally playing the rest of it in your mind. So you know the whole thing anyway. You know it like you would with going on stage. You have to know everybody else's lines. You have to know the whole scene from start to finish, or the whole thing from start to finish. But if you're playing it with somebody that you've never met, when you get on the set with them, you sort of drag them aside and say, let's run through this and try and find what those moments are that really work, because you know the words, you know what you're going to say, you know how you've got to time it. And you like what I was saying about my eyes, I'll use my eyes and things like that. And it's totally different. I can't compare the two. I really can't. I can compare them for performance, but I can't compare them for experience, because the experience is completely different. For a start, you're doing things over and over again. And I mean, with this, the things that have happened with the Ballad of Lucy Sands, that some of the connections we've got are unbelievable. They really are. I mean, we were filming up, as I say, they're in Cumbria at the moment filming, but because it's where it happened. But last year we was up there in October, and we filmed at the church, at a place called St John's Church in Workington, and we filmed her funeral. And we had all these lovely people there, all from Workington, from the town, and there was children. They all had the ill-fitting clothes, and their chaperones were their parents and school teachers and all that. And we had to play this scene, which was basically the funeral of Lucy Sands, this murder victim. And we're playing this scene, and yet we all know, or most of us knew, that this church is actually where this funeral took place. We had an actor called Simon who was playing, I said this wrong last time, I said Paisley, Reverend Foley. And he was reciting the words that was actually said at Lucy's funeral, that Steve had found out from all this research. And it was really, really powerful. It was a really powerful scene to do. But here's the thing. The girl, this murder victim, is in the graveyard outside this church. And as an actor, you sit there and you know that, and you come to realise that, and you have to sort of, you can't make it any more realistic than that.
This is supposed to be
because the performance is already about you trying. Sorry?
This is a biography?
It's a true story. It's a murder. It's this young girl that was murdered, and the case was never legally was never solved.
Wow.
She never had justice,
I'm
Most of these
so
murderers.
excited to see this.
Yeah.
When do you think people like? When do you think us Americans are going to get to see it? Does when it comes out over there? Does it come out here? Or like what? How does it usually work? What are they thinking? I know that you guys don't have a time yet.
I know what the plan was before this pandemic. The plan before this pandemic was for it to open in February next year, which is the 14th of February, which is Lucy's
Valentine's
birthday.
Day.
Valentine's Day, exactly.
Do you guys have the same Valentine's Day as us?
Yeah. Our Memorial Day is different now. Our Memorial Day is November the 11th because it was the armistice of the First World War. Your Memorial Day is May time, isn't it? End of May, something like that.
Yeah, and you guys don't have, but you guys don't really have Halloween though, right?
Yeah, but that's very American.
Because I was there during Halloween, and I remember there was no. I was in England during Halloween one time, and I remember there was no Halloween.
Yeah, we don't have Thanksgiving.
Well, I know that's
what
American.
they call it, Black Monday, Black Friday. What's that one?
Oh, you still have that too?
Those loot in the shops.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have that. They have that. But
when it comes to money like that, shopping, we have that. That's funny.
Yeah.
So was it supposed to come out the same time here in America, or do we get delayed a little bit? I don't know how that works at all.
As far as I know, and please don't quote me on this, because as I say, it has changed. I assume.
I know that.
But it was February over here.
Come out everywhere in February.
Yeah, he wanted to have the premiere. He wanted to have the premiere on Lucy's birthday. He wanted that to be, the premiere. So wherever it went from there. But whether or not now they'll finish that, I don't know. Whether that will finish on time. But one of the things that he has been talking about of late is making it a serial as well as a film, because he's got so much. Most screen. I mean, I'll give you an example. A play, a normal play where you maybe do an hour and a half or 2 hours on stage. On pages, that's only about 80 pages. Or 90 pages. Typically, a page is about a minute in real time if you're doing a script, right?
Right.
This script has grown from something like, I think it was about 130 pages. It's grown to about 300 odd pages. Because in the time that he's been doing the film, he's found out so much more. He's found so many more facts, so many things that people never knew. Little bits in newspapers and little bits, these old newspapers from the 1880s, and it's just gone absolutely. He's just crept every little thing in, and he's now on about making it a series and as well as a film. So I think he's hoping for Netflix or someone like that to pick it up.
That is so awesome! I can't wait. I'm so excited about this.
Wow, that's great to hear. I mean, it is starting to pick up. It is starting to get a following.
How is your career now, and like just in general? I mean, I don't know if most people doing theater like you're making a living off of it. How does that work now with the pandemic and everything happening? Did you guys get any type of aid? What are you guys doing?
No, I haven't got anything. One of the things but apart from a few days on the call sheets and that for this film, what's left for me on this film, I was supposed to be doing something in Plymouth, which is just down the road over the river in Devon, where the Mayflower sailed from. The Mount Mayflower that set off for the Americas. In actual fact, it was for the Mayflower celebrations. It was. It's called Drake 400 because this year it marks 400 years since Francis Drake went on the Mayflower and found America. It was one of the things that was part of the community thing for that, and it was all about Plymouth Argyle Football Club. And I was involved in that. I was just starting to get involved in that when everything just got closed down, and I don't know what's happening with that now. Rick O'Shea, the bloke who's written that, I think he's just started going back into entertainment because he's like a live entertainer. He does the clubs and the pubs, he does jokes, and he's really good because what he does is Bruce Springsteen, the boss, he does his records like as a backing track, but he writes songs that go in the tune. So like he wrote these different songs, and it's all about different places and different people, but he's just using the backing. He doesn't just use Springsteen, he uses other people, but he's a really clever songwriter, but he's an entertainer. You know, he's a really, really good, but he's a terrific writer as well. He's a really, I mean, I've done one of his plays. What was that called? Top of my head, I can't think what it was called, but yeah, I've done one of his plays. It was fantastic. It was really good. It was all about these two guys in a bowls club, and they're sitting there in their whites in the bowling green, and they're arguing about whether or not life was better 20 years ago than it is now, and it was quite good. It was very comedy-wise. It was very similar to Smith and Jones. Did you ever see Mel Smith and Griffiths Jones?
I'm familiar with.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. That was how he told us to play it. There's a lot of people that haven't been able to work, and they haven't been able to go into the theatres, and even the cinemas now are just starting to open back up. But even they're releasing films that should have been released months ago. Yeah. So there's a bit of backlog there.
So do a lot of stage actors make a living off of it, or it just depends where they are?
It depends where you are. I mean, it's getting the right role. Okay.
So what I wanted to know, since you've been doing this for so long, have you met anybody that would be like, wow, whether you actually performed with someone or someone actually came to see you, like that you were a fan of, and you're like, wow, it was really impressive to me? Is there anybody that we would know or that was just really impressive?
There's quite a few. I mean, on the one of the ones I do remember that really stood out for me was the Frenton Summer Theatre. Roger Moore. I mean, he's passed away now. And,
oh wow! When was this?
He was there one time, Frenton Summer Theatre, and because he weren't actually performing there. His mum lived there. You know, his elderly mum, and he used to take her to the theatre. And I went there one time. I was chatting to Jack Watley, who was the bloke who started the Frenton Summer Theatre. Again, he's gone now, but he introduced me to Roger Moore, and I thought, wow. And I managed to get something for him to sign. My favourite film ever is a film called The Wild Geese, and it's the mercenaries in Africa, and he's in that. And I got a lobby card, like a theatre lobby card.
Oh, really?
And I'll get him to sign that for me. That was
so
great.
Cool.
But I'd say probably the one who's actually seen me perform that really stands out, and I don't know if you've ever heard of him. I should imagine you probably did, but a bloke called Rod Taylor.
Okay.
And Rod Taylor, he was in The Birds and The Time Machine and a couple of other great films.
I love those movies.
He actually saw me on stage once, and he come up to me and he said it was when I'd done, I think it was when I was doing Arsenic and Old Lace. And he come up to me afterwards and he said he really enjoyed it and all that. And I asked him for my...
That had to be amazing. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that was great. I mean, I bumped into a few over this. I'll tell you what, I mean, promoting things on radio, I've met quite a few. And I mean, I wouldn't name them, but there's some, I couldn't stand them. They were completely different from how you'd think they'd be, because they seem so nice on the telly or so nice in the films. But because they were in a studio at the same time I was doing something where I'm promoting something on the theatre, they've been sat next to me, or they've been in the waiting room, so to speak. And, I sort of think, oh, no, I wouldn't give you the time of day now, after the way you just spoke, or maybe the way they treat somebody who just brought them a cup of tea.
Really? Were they really famous?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, reasonably famous. I'm not going to say who they were, because
that's okay. You don't have to.
Trouble, but some people do give the completely wrong impression in person. I can't stand people have an off day, but
I've interviewed quite a few celebrities, not on this platform, but on a different platform, and everyone that was really famous was really nice, and the people that had the attitudes were the people that you wouldn't even know their name. Like they were famous, but not that famous. Like, but all the A-listers that I've ever met were really nice.
Yeah.
You know, like Elizabeth Taylor, Elton John. Have you met Elton John? Isn't he your neighbor?
No, I've never met Elton John. No.
Maybe he'll make a song for your movie one time.
Yeah.
He should make a ballad for the Ballad of Lucy Sands.
Yeah, we've got a songwriter for that.
Is it a lot of original music that you guys have been doing for that?
Yeah, there's original music. We've got a composer, and that's what I'm saying. Everything about it is completely original in the sense of the story's never been told. No one's ever heard of Lucy Sands or this true story. As I say, we've got an ensemble cast. The musicians that are doing the score and a couple of songs are, not really that well known. Everything that's going. Yeah, even one of our cameramen, and he's an editor as well. He won an award last year for a best film trailer for a film that he has been working on. Not this one, but another one. He won an award for because he's put together the best trailer, like the Los Angeles Film Awards or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the award was, but the info's on the webpage, I believe, on our webpage.
Mark, how do you feel about ever coming out here to California and doing some acting? Is that something you've ever thought about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to. You know what would be great? I'd love to come to Tombstone, Arizona, and do Wyatt Earp. That would be great. That'd be great. I've already done that, so why not do it?
Yeah, why not do it
in the actual place where it happened? Yeah, that'd be fantastic. That really would be good.
And what I really want to know too, because now that you're in a biography, how do you feel about portraying somebody that was a real person? And is that something that you had a lot of experience with prior to this?
Well, Wyatt was real, so I had that experience. I've done a couple other bits that were real stories, but yeah, there's no getting around this being a real story. And the big thing that's a big draw for me is we are all playing characters that nobody's ever played before, and yet they're real. As I say, this story, it's never been written in a book. It's never been on stage or even a radio play, or even it's never ever been told before. So every single person, whether that's the young girl playing Lucy, Leah Smith, or Tamsin Ford who's playing Maggie, the doctors, we've got a couple of doctors, Stuart and James. Yeah, they're playing real people. But nobody has played them before. And this is what is so appealing about it. This isn't like this isn't Sherlock Holmes or Dracula or anything like that. The parts have never, ever been done before. And that's the amazing thing about it. Not only that, but we've got the connections with the film as well, with Workington, with the place where it happened. We've even got connections to the families of the people involved, as in the descendants. We had a lady on set back in, I believe it was January, February. We had a lady on set who, Lucy was an orphan. Her father died, and then her mother died. And she was about 10 years old, and she was brought to Workington to live with her great aunt and her grandmother. And this great aunt and grandmother had a brother. So in other words, Lucy's great uncle. Now you follow that family tree from that great uncle into modern day, and there's people that have been in our film.
That is,
I mean, it's not only that, but we've also got descendants of the family of the guy who supposedly done it. There was a guy who they suspected to have actually done the murder. And if you go back up in his family tree to his grandfather and then across and then follow it down into modern day, we had a couple of people playing. Like, in actual fact, they played the policeman who brought him in and they'd arrested him. They brought him in.
That is so
they brought him in
cool.
for an interview before the arrest. Yeah.
It's awesome that you guys found a lot of these descendants as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's Steve's hard work. There's the hard work of him where he's tried publicising it on radio and all that kind of thing as the film has progressed through the different stages of the creation.
Well, hopefully when the movie comes out, maybe I can interview him and the rest of the cast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure they'd all love to come on and do something. Yeah, I'm sure they would.
They're for their fans in America.
Yeah. It's a fascinating story, and one of the things that we have got is a photograph of Lucy herself. And to the best of anyone's knowledge, it's the last surviving photograph, and it's been our mascot all the way through the making of the film. It's like a little visitor card, as they used to call it. It's about 4 inches high, 2 inches across, and it's it is from a photography studio, and it's got the stamp of the photographer on the back. And not only that, but handwritten on the back of this card, it says Lucy Sands, and it's quite mesmerising to think this was given to the place, and whose handwriting is it? Theoretically, it could be the handwriting of the guy I'm playing, or one of my other team. Where they've jotted it down and they're walking around town saying, "When was the last time you saw this? When was the last time you saw this girl?" And all that. And
wow! But we do have a murderer that is most likely the murderer, right? This isn't going to be one of those unsolved things that drive us nuts like Jack the Ripper, right?
No, it's not like Jack the Ripper. There is a murderer that is named in the film, and that's from Steve's research. I'm not going to reveal who. No,
that's fine. I just wanted to know because a lot of people get mad when there's no closure.
Yeah.
I want to know if we were going to have closure after seeing it, but you don't have to tell us what the closure is. I just want to know if there was closure.
Yeah. With the research that he's done, it's a theory. It's a theory,
but it's a strong one.
It's a very, very strong one.
That's good. That's all I need. That's good for me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mark. We're gonna follow you on everything. We're gonna follow your website, Facebook. Is it what you have a website, or just it's all Facebook? You have a website and Facebook.
Not personally. No, I'm on Facebook personally. But I mean, if you want to talk about if you're talking about the film.
The film's website, that's what you sent me, okay.
That's what, it's called LucySands.com.
Okay. And then I Instagrammed you. I'm so glad we got you on Instagram finally.
Yeah, I'm on Insta. I did do Twitter, but I got fed up with Twitter because it was all nonsense on Twitter. I'm not doing it. It was just a waste of my time. Whereas what I'm trying to do with Instagram is I'm trying to keep it professional. I'm trying to put photos on just every other day. Something from the career, whether that's today or 10 years ago. I don't mind it. Whatever I'm finding, I'm sort of putting on and saying, "This is me when I've done such and such years." I don't put pictures of my dinner on there or my dog, how people do with Facebook. But yeah, I mean, we've got a Facebook page for the film, which is it's called The Ballad of Lucy Sands. It's easy enough to find. But the best way is to go to the website and have a look at the website and watch the trailers. There's the trailers on there. One of the most amazing things is Lucy's monologue. It's absolutely incredible. It's 6 or 7 minutes.
I can't wait.
This monologue is absolutely incredible. Leah Smith, brilliant. That's the best place, because from the website you'll find everything else.
I'm so excited. I really hope this comes out in February because you got me so hooked on this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for spending time with us, Mark. You have some fans in America now. We're gonna follow you. If you get a lot of
thank you.
If you get a lot of my mutual friends or people that just be like, because we're just very fascinated by British culture and what you guys are doing over there.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a blast. It's been really good. And I've tried not to tell any jokes or anything like that. I'm known for telling jokes. You can always tell jokes on here. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, then. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.